so that you can see some of the things that I'm referring to. So the podcast talking about striking, and I was just trying to do something else there. Did you notice how I stuttered? So when you try to multitask, it is really, really difficult, because I was just thinking, oh, I better record the meeting. So as I did that, I could hear my voice losing track of what I was actually trying to say to you. So, and one of the points that was made on the podcast about striking was that was just that your concentration or your ability to multitask is actually is not brilliant. So, and it was likened to driving. So I know a couple of you are a bit too young to drive, and some of you might not drive, but if you are a driver, when you get to a junction and you have to make a decision about whether to turn left or right or go straight on, there if you're talking to somebody, if you're a passenger and they're talking to you, you tend to just zone out from what they're saying whilst you concentrate on what you're actually doing. And that would be the same in bell ringing. So you should be listening to things, but then you've got a decision to make about something, because maybe you're not completely secure in what it is you're ringing. You've got a decision to make, say in call changes, whether you've got to ring quicker or slower. And so your listening bit sort of switches off. So whilst we've got this this shutdown of actual physical ringing, this is a massive opportunity to be able to concentrate on skills that we can work on, and the biggest one is listening. And this is why having a download to your computer, and I've recommended Abel. There are other simulators available, but I've recommended Abel because that's the one I know. That's the one, it's probably the most popular one that people have, and it's the one that actually transfers into a tower, and you can actually hook it up to tower bells to use it in the tower as well as using it at home. So I don't know how many people, has everybody got, put a little clap sign up if you've got Abel already, or a version.
How do you get a clap sign? How?
Down at the bottom.
Down at the bottom.
You've got reactions on the
yep.
right. So nearly everybody has got Arthur. So nearly everybody has got Abel on their computers. So some of you will have already had a look at it. So you might be familiar with some of the things I'm going. But for those who have only just got it, and for those who are thinking of getting it, we'll take a little tour through just the basics today, because I actually think that going too deep into it will be too much for an introductory session. We can have other sessions to look at how you can use it in other ways, or how to do things like more advanced things for those that need it, and that might apply to other people in the guild or in the school. So once you get Abel on your computer, I'm going to start sharing a screen now. So you're likely to have a little screen that has little bell ropes on. Now there are facilities on Abel to be able to put moving ringers on, but I'm not going to recommend that at this stage, because that's actually a facility to try and help you with rope sight. And but the purpose that we're trying to get you to use it for now is entirely for listening. There's a little bit of rope sight you can use with Abel just by looking at the little sallies on the screen. However, I personally find it much easier to do it without looking at the screen, because I get distracted by looking at the little sallies. So you'll come up with a screen something like this, and in order to ring one of the bells, the J key on the keyboard is important. Now you can set this running to ring what's on the screen now without getting you up. So if you want a little demonstration of the exercise that you've chosen to ring, then you can get Abel to just ring it for you before you have a go at ringing it. So let's have a look what we've got. We've got on this. I've actually got this set up to ring Mexican Wave, but perhaps I better go back a little bit to the beginning and show you how you get to that point. So if you want to choose an exercise to ring, you need to go to File, and then open. And then you get this choice of all these things. These are folders with exercises in for this number of bells. So we've got 3 bells, right down to 22 bells. So what that'd be sort of like a ringing exercise for a method on 22 bells. And then you've got things like treble dodging minor. Then you've got that folder with chord changes. You've got a demo folder. And then you've got an important one on Abel is this, well, certainly for people at foundation skills level, is this learning exercises V2. But I'm actually going to go right back up to the, as this is a listening tutorial, I'm going to go back up to the 3 bell folder. And I'm going to open that folder. And then on this side here, what comes up is what you can notice. It actually says 4 bells there. So I'm going to put it to 3 bells. So on the 3 bell folder, you've got a choice of ringing 3 or 4. You can actually ring more things, have more bells ringing, but this little list here are the things that are available for you to ring on 3 bells. Now we don't even need to do anything to do with that at the moment, just to be able to do some listening. So if we wanted to listen to what rounds on 3 is like. So the purpose of this exercise would be for you to be able to determine that you can hear your bell, okay? So it's easiest to start on a few bells. If you think you're a person who can't hear their bell when you're ringing on 6 or on 8, the thing to do is to reduce the number of bells that you're ringing on until you can hear your bell, until you can work out which one's you. With something like 3, the Abel only goes down as far as 3. In a tower, I suppose we could go to 2. Yours would be either ding or dong. You can put words to things like on 3 bells, you could be saying 3 blind mice and allocating which word is your sound. So well, listen what 3 bells sounds like. So notice we had that hand stroke gap, didn't we? So it was 3 blind mice, 3 blind mice, gap. 3 blind mice, 3 blind mice. Now, if I wanted to take part in this and I wanted to be one of the bells, I need to get my J key. So the J key on the keyboard is going to ring number 1. Okay, you can actually set, there are a couple of settings as well when we get to ringing some of the exercises that you might need to put in. One of the things is if you go into the ringing options, to have stop at rounds and stand at rounds, make sure they're not activated, because if you ring something really short, like plain hunt on 3, it will just stop after 1 go. If you want to keep going and keep practicing it, then you need it to continue. So you don't want to have stop at rounds ticked there. That's particularly important if you're trying to ring Mexican wave, because after two changes, it will be back in round. So that just wouldn't work really very well. So that's not activated. So I'll just show you how you would be ringing your bell on rounds on 3. So I'm going to be number 1. These little numbers at the bottom, number 1 is red, so that's the one I'm going to be ringing. And those little lines underneath are where the perfect striking would be. Now, 2 and 3 are going to be on top of that line all of the time. Mine's probably not. So that is how to evaluate your striking as you are ringing. Okay. So we'll start this off, and I'm going to join in on the next hand stroke. So I'm going to click start. Oh. So I'm going to go now. Oh. I think I got my hand strokes wrong. I'm going to stop this. So I've got a really low score there of 3.2. You can see I don't do this very often at home. So that little line that comes underneath there is another striking evaluation tool. So mine was abysmal. And you saw different colours coming up as well. So a green line coming underneath tells you that it was really good. A red line tells you it was appalling, and a sort of in between green to red, so sort of lighter green to orange to yellow to orange is how it progresses in terms of your striking. I'm not going to concentrate too much on that striking stuff now, but one of the things you can also do is an important thing to look at before you start ringing is this bit here on the screen, the bit that says peal time. So that sets the time, the speed that you're going to ring at. So if I so that was actually a little bit fast, I think. So if I slow that down to 3 hours, so this is a time in hours and minutes. So if we slow it to 3 hours and start again. Still not very good, am I? Oh.
What is that?
Have I disappeared?
You're still there, but I don't know what's the black carbon fiber patch thingy.
The panel over the screen.
That's about it's gone.
It's
Right,
gone.
gone. All right, hang on a minute. Tracy! Ugh. I think. Right, can people see me now? I need to unshare my screen. Hang on. So, what happened there? Did the screen disappear or not? No. Okay, so I got a message there saying I was being signed out, so I had a bit of a panic there. Okay, we can go back. We can go back. I was going to go back onto that screen there, so let's go back to Abel. Has anybody got any questions so far? Okay.
Just on a technicality, Claire.
Yes.
I will admit to downloading Abel myself a few days ago, but mine seems to be set up that when you press start, all the bells ring in the rounds anyway until you just take over one of them.
Yes, and that happens. Yes, and it can be set like that, and that might be auto start.
I think that was because you just pressed J, so you'd taken control of the bell.
Thank you, Tony. So it's good having the technical people who have used it before on this. Yes, please chip in if I'm not. I would say I'm probably only about a couple of pages in the book ahead of quite a few people.
One other starter point. You said J gives you bell number 1. J gives you the bell that's at the bottom right.
Yes. So if you want to ring a different bell. So that's one of the other things I was going to cover. If we want to ring bell number 3, for example, so the bell you're ringing is always going to be this bell in the bottom right. So if I want to ring bell number 3, hover over with the cursor and click, and you can see that bell 3 has moved down to the right. I dare say if I click on there, we've still got the score on that one, but let's see what happens now. So you see, I've...
Wait till someone has come on.
So I'm much better on the third than I am on the treble, looking at those little scores. So we can increase the number of bells if I wanted to. So we can increase the number of bells just on this, just for listening in rounds. So we can ring 4, and I can decide, and to begin with, pick a bell that you think you're going to be able to hear. So ringing the tenor behind to something is probably, in the tower, that's a good bell. In the tower, it's easiest to hear bell number 1 and bell number 4, well, whatever the last bell is, because it's the lightest note, the highest note and the deepest note. So I would probably, if you're starting off just trying with these listening exercises, I'd be starting off by picking the last bell. So we can, I'd be bell number 4 in this. If we can increase the number of bells on here to however many we like by increasing those the numbers there. If we picked on what Plain Hunt on 3, the simulator would still ring Plain Hunt on 3. What we could do, if we go back down to 4 bells, once you're comfortable with ringing, say, the 4th in rounds, you could actually get the simulator to ring Plain Hunt on 3. So we'll do a demonstration of how that, so a demonstration of what the computer will do. I'm going to change my peel speed time. I think that's too quick. That's too slow now. So I've set that to 3 hours. So that's a comfortable speed. I'm going to get it I can press the G key and it'll go. So it's going to ring Plain Hunt on 3 with a cover. So now, because I didn't have stop at rounds and stand at rounds ticked there, it would have just carried on and carried on. And so that's what you can do. That's the advantages of being able to choose whether you have that or not. So for demonstration purposes, it probably would have been a good idea for me to put stop at rounds and stand at rounds. However, if you're practicing and you want to keep practicing, then make sure those aren't ticked. Now, if we want to have, I'm going to tick it this time and stand it at rounds. And so we can practice being the cover bell. So it can be bell number 4. So when I start this off, I can then start pressing the J key, and I'm that bell number 4, the cover bell. And when the method goes, I will still be in 4th position. So it's about counting your place. Always the 4th bell to ring. So that's, for those who haven't got to the level 3 exercises yet, that's covering. That's one of the things in at level 3. So if we start that off. There we go. So let's get back to people. And has anybody got any questions so far on what we're doing? Am I pitching this at the right level for some people, or am I pitching it too low?
I think you're doing just fine, actually.
Okay. Anybody? Okay. So I'll just check my. So that's basically how to use the simulator as a listening tool. So we can. So it's all about the basic things are to make sure you set the right speed. to make sure you choose a bell that's appropriate for you. And I would recommend, to begin with, always choosing, say, the bell that's going to be last on however many. Go right back to basics. Go back to ringing on 3 bells, so you know that you have heard you are hearing your bell. It's of no advantage to sort of like put 8 bells up there and be ringing them and then realise that actually you still can't really hear your bell. Keep reducing from whichever number you start at, right down to say bell number, so you've got just 3 bells, and then make it more difficult for you. So you can make that more difficult for yourself by ringing, say, ringing the 3rd, so it's the last bell, then ringing the 2nd, so it's the middle bell. And then that way, if you get quite reasonable feedback with the striking, which I'll move on to now, then you know that you are listening, you're able to hear your bell, and you'll be able to repeat those exercises, and you might be able to improve on your striking performances. So if I share the screen again, we'll have a look at reviewing striking. So to review striking, we're going to look in the ringing tab again, and review striking is down here. So this will show you.
We're meant to have a shared screen here, Claire.
Oh yeah, good idea.
Would help.
I need to get back to Zoom. Yeah. Oh no.
What happened?
No, it's okay. It's excuse my inability to use a laptop. Hang on, bear with me. I've just hidden my share screen button, so I need, and it's just, right.
You can press Alt to show the bottom bar.
Thank you, Austin, my technical advisor. Yes, are we there?
Yeah, we're there.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. So here's the share screen. So I didn't, so let's go back and show you how we got there. So on the ringing file, so the drop down menu, you go down to review striking, and then we come up here. So I was bell number 4, so it's telling me all about how I just rang. So it divides it into hand stroke and backstroke, so you can be really quite precise about where the errors are that you're making. So I had a 4% error in on my hand strokes, and all of them were early, and I had 2% error on my backstrokes. So, and you get this color coding. So you see green is as near to perfect as you can be. It gets a bit lighter when you're either, so that will be late on that side or early on that side. So you've got light green to yellow to orange to red, so sort of really bad. And then you get this little column here, which actually shows you precisely how good or bad you were with your striking. So you can do this every time, and you get, and if we go back to the screen, I've got an aggregate score there of 9.6. So that's how you can review your striking. So if I start that exercise again, there are ways of saving these, your performances as well, but I haven't looked into that in depth. But there's things that you want to do, you can do help. For me, I would be happy just to know that my aggregate score was 9.6 and see whether I can improve on it the next time. So we can, I'll stop sharing the screen. So I'm hoping that's helpful for people. Let's have a look at what else we can do. So one of the things about using the simulator that I've personally found quite difficult is that when we is getting leading right. Well, you saw that in my first attempt at ringing rounds on 3, didn't you? Yeah. And that's partly because when the simulators are set up to have an absolutely precise gap of 1 beat. Now, in Birmingham, generally, we have slightly less than a whole beat gap when we have our hand stroke gaps. So there's always a noticeable gap in Birmingham when people are ringing, but it's not as big as an entire beat. So I think that's why people like me that don't generally use simulators actually find that quite difficult to get used to. But it's all about practice. So the more you practice, everything about bell ringing is repeated practice, isn't it? So the more that you practice with that and practice your listening skills and get used to that gap. Orson, I can see you've got a question, have you?
You can change the hand stroke gap.
Oh, wow. Orson, I knew you'd be able to.
It's in options, ringing options, and then it's hand stroke gap. You can change it.
Okay, let's have a look, shall we? Share the screen. Orson can talk us through. So options, Orson. Yeah. Ringing options. Yeah.
Hand stroke gap.
Hand stroke gap.
Just underneath the cancel.
Oh, yes. So we can reduce that slightly to, I'm going to do it to 0.6, I think, see how that goes. Okay. So now I'm actually going to I think I'm going to try ringing on 6, and I'm going to be bell number 6. Well, actually, I'll be bell number 1, so you can practice your leading with that hand stroke gap, and I'll be bell number 1. Let's stop. Guess who didn't
This is all going very well, Claire.
Yeah, not bad.
Yes, so guess who didn't set the peel speed? Guess who didn't check what method they were ringing rounds to and deciding to ring the treble when thinking they were ringing rounds? So it is all, I mean, it's a steep learning curve for lots of us. So I actually hope that this will be of benefit to you as you see me struggling here to show this to you. That when you go through have the same sort of issues and think, oh, why didn't I do that? Well, you'll know it happens to the best of us. Well, I'm not saying I'm the best, of course, but so let's try that again, and we'll be and I also think this applies to ringing in general when you're in a tower as well. Preparation is everything. So I've just embarrassed myself with my inability to get myself prepared properly for the exercise I was going to do. But quite a lot of time people rush into, when you're ringing in a tower, people do rush into to ringing, catch hold, not having sort of like really sort of mentally thought, actually, where do I start in this method? So if you're ringing a method, what's the first thing I have to do in this method? Or catching hold for something chord changes and not remembering that you are on the 4th. And the first chord change is 3 to 4, nothing happens, or there's a big crunch, and somebody says 4, it was you, you know. So it is all about preparation, and I've just demonstrated how not to prepare. So let's have a look at that. So
I think Simon's doing his ironing, by the way.
Oh,
I am actually.
Are you just ironing?
Paying attention.
I am listening.
I presume you're just ironing the front of your shirt.
I'm doing Eleanor's stuff at the moment.
Okay. Right. So this time I'm going to be bell number 4. So this is going to be plain hunt on 3. So the front 3 bells are going to plain hunt, and 4, 5, 6 are going to be ringing behind. So I am still going to be covering. Now I'm going to remember that I'm going to set my peel speed because it is too fast. So So we're going to go up to 3. And we're going to start. Have I done everything? Anybody? Is there anything else I needed to have set? Oh, we're going to stop at, we're stopping at rounds and standing at rounds. Okay, good.
You've forgotten to change the bell you're ringing on.
I'm ringing 4.
Aye.
So I did do that. So I want to be 4. I'm the first of the 3 cover bells. Okay. I know that's still saying that's from the last time I rang. So it was saying what the bell I rang last. So let's see what happens. Excellent. So now I can,
clap for that.
oh, thank you very much. So now, I've got an aggregate score of 9.6, which I think is probably really, unfortunately, I think that's probably really good. So probably not a very accurate demonstration for somebody sort of using simulators for the first time. But I know that I have got reasonable listening skills. I know that I can hear my bell, and I'm not actually looking at I'm not looking at those ropes going up and down. I'm doing it just by listening. I actually find looking at the ropes quite distracting. So let's have a look at, we'll review striking. And a bit wobbly, and a bit of a, not so good to start with, but then by the time we get down to this bit here, obviously it improved quite a lot. So we've got an error of being 4% early at my hand strokes and 6% being late at backstroke. So that can help me when I'm ringing to know that I've got to concentrate even harder on getting that, so that in general my backstrokes are slow, so therefore I need to get those backstroke ones just slightly earlier, and that in general my hand strokes are early. So that's what, so for the next time that I try, I need to concentrate on trying to delay my backstroke. No, I need to push my backstrokes in, don't I? Okay, so I think that that was as far as I was going to go today with getting people set up and how to use Abel. I don't know if anybody feels that you know, they want to go further with it, or if they've got any questions. We've got Orson here, which is I'm really pleased we've got Orson here.
He's become the go-to.
And Tony knows his way around a simulator as well. So does anybody have any questions at this point about setting up and?
Are we going to have set tasks for each level that you could email to us to practice?
That's not a bad idea, actually. One thing you can be doing, of course, the things you can direct your own learning, of course, but perhaps I better go back in and show you actually the V2 learning exercises that are available for people at level 2. So there's quite a few people who are attending today who are at level 2 or on the cusp of level 3. We've got, so if I go back into screen share and just show you this, we're back in that. So we'll get out of that. So if you wanted to, so if we go, just a reminder to open a file. If you want to go to find exercises, if we go click open, we've got all of these different files that we can look at. Right down near the bottom is this learning exercises V2 file. We've also got a call changes file. So have a quick look at the call changes file, because actually, Jane, you have definitely got this one Mabel. So we've got, so this is where you start to have to choose things. So this is set up to ring 8.
Claire, I think the chord change one is quite good, having the moving ringers.
Well, before you joined us,
I was a bit late. Did you?
I know. Before you joined us, yes, I did, because
Okay.
We're primarily doing this with listening.
Okay.
But also, I find that the moving ringers are quite distracting. I think that it's worth having another session demonstrating the moving ringers, but not on this session.
Okay. Okay.
So we can choose what we want to ring. So that's we can have queens on 6. Okay. So we can do a demonstration, and it will. If I click start now, it will demonstrate. It will call the changes every 2 changes or so, every two hand strokes. You can alter that. You can make it every 6 or something like that, which I think is probably going to be in options.
Ringing.
Is that right, Orson?
It'd probably be in ringing options.
Yeah, so ringing options, I've just done the drop-down menu. With chord changes, you can set it to have manual chord changes, so you can actually call them yourself. I haven't investigated how to do that, so that'll be for next time. So we've got tenor behind doubles. We're having the changes called up, so we call them up in Birmingham, so you won't need to reset that. But some people have the changes called down or called by place, but that's something you could practice. You can practice a new way of doing chord changes by having them called down or called by place. We've got our hand stroke gap. We've got our peel time. We've got 6. So we've got whole pulls. So we should have somewhere where it says call the changes, how to alter how often the changes are called. That's not here. Okay, we'll click OK.
It's in edit composition.
Oh, well done, Simon. So edit composition.
And then double click on that. Double click on the screens on 6. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we can say whole pulls between changes. So we can increase that to 4 or decrease it to 1 if you want to ring really quickly. So yeah, so there's lots of little tricks that you need to get your head around with that. But so most things are possible. So so there and look in the help thing. So. And I mean, if people are struggling with anything, please email into the school or contact us in some way, because we'll be able to find ways around things. So we've edited that, and so we would do the chord changes. The changes would happen every 4 blows. So we'll just start that off. So that's a little demonstration. So if you're practicing chord changes, I'd recommend that if you're struggling to make the change sort of slickly, a nice clean change, or you're not, that's when you might want to, or it's moving too fast for you. That's where you might want to sort of increase the number of rows before the next chord change, so you're more comfortable. As you get more comfortable with it, you can reduce that, knowing that the change, you can be anticipating that the change is coming up, and knowing that you're going to be it's going to be queens on 6, for example, or another change that you set. then that gives you a little bit of an insight into practicing that over and over. It gives you a little bit of an insight into the people that are able to call changes, because that's how people who call changes, they know what's coming up, obviously. So it's not a bad thing knowing what's coming up. You can also devise your own call change sequences in there, and that comes under adding method. But that's for I think that's for another time for us to go through how to add things to Abel so that you can ring them. So back to the V2 learning exercises that we've got. So we've got all sorts. That's our call changes. So if we then want to move back to see what else we've got to do, so we're going to open file. So call changes does what it says on the tin. We've got lots of different things. You can add things to it. But this file here of the V2 learning exercises, you will see that there are quite a few things. I'm not going to save that. So there are lots of things here. Here's the menu on the left-hand side of the things you can do. So you've got Mexican wave. We've all done Mexican wave. You've got things like basto doubles and cloister doubles, and these are exercises where you could be ringing the treble. Part of it is knowing what the exercises do, of course. So basto doubles, if you were to ring the treble, you would be practicing making places by leading for a whole pull, ringing in seconds place for a whole pull, leading for a whole pull. Cloister doubles is going up to thirds place and back, so going from first to second to thirds place, seconds to lead. Grants doubles, you can be practicing ringing the tenor behind, and so all of these you can be practicing ringing the tenor behind those. So the tenor, so the cover bell, the bell ringing in sixth place doesn't move; it stays in sixth place. So whilst the other simulator's off doing its fancy other stuff of its grants or its cloister, you can be the bell ringing in sixth place and practicing that listening of being that last bell to ring. So you've got your places, you've got your long places, dodging exercises, all exercises that you will have done at level 2 or will be about to do that. And you're playing hunt on 2, 3, 4 and 5. You can practice being various different cover bells for that. So that just a brief overview of the sort of things that are available at your level, but extremely useful for just practicing listening. So by the time we get back to actually ringing in towers, we could all be really, really good at listening, and all be much better than we were when we actually when ringing stopped. Okay, so
can I ask? It's sort of semi-relevant. Is there a means on Abel where you can find the blue line? So you've got the index with all the methods there. If you say we want to pick on St Clements for the sake of a method, is there anywhere on there you could find the line for St Clements?
I think there probably is. Tony, you know?
I don't think so in the band, but if you let it ring it, then it draws the blue line on the right-hand side.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
That's the only way, I think.
Okay, that's fine.
But there are other. I mean, if you have the mobile version of Abel, which is Mobile, which currently is only available for people with iPhones, but they are just about to be bringing it out for Android phones, I think.
Yeah, he said it was going to be this week, and he's obviously overrun a bit.
It's going to be available for all smartphones. On that version, on mobile, you can actually get the method up that you've chosen to ring, so you can get a method to.
Yeah, I just next to where it says play, it's got the blue lines and it says show on my version.
All right, yeah.
Yeah. But
Yes.
I'm happy to get the Android version soon for my phone.
Good.
Yeah,
do
soon.
that. There are also other apps. There's an app called Methodology, and Adam Knight Markiegi uses that quite a lot, and he's actually offered to perhaps do a tutorial on how to use that, which might be useful for people. So we are compiling lots of sort of suggestions. People are offering to run various sessions we'll put on as many as we can. That hopefully people will feel useful. So we're coming up to having spent 50 minutes doing this now. So I think that's probably enough time for today. And please email email feedback if you like, but also email any suggestions if there's anything you want to cover on Abel that I haven't. And I will admit to being quite amateurish myself, because I am almost as new to this as you are with Abel. I'm relying really heavily on my just innate ringing skills to be able to do it. So actually finding my way around Abel I'm finding that quite difficult too. Arthur, you had something to say, did you? No, okay. Well, before we go, remember that you should all have a copy of this book.
Oh, I have that one at home.
Yeah, well, everybody should have a copy of that, because if you're a school student, you will have been given one. So make sure you do a bit of reading in this as well. So reading about whatever level you're at, just to revise. And if you're going to practice things like the foundation skills, then and chord changes, then revise the chapter before you have a start on Abel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Did you talk about the videos, Claire?
Yes, there are some videos being produced. Roger Booth from Art is currently in production of some videos about how to use Abel, and in fact some of I have the scripts here for those videos.
I think they're worth sending. That's how I found the edit composition thing, from the script.
Yes, well, absolutely, and that's how I based my presentation to today, as I winged it through for you. But yes, so currently in production. I think he's going to be filming them next week, getting them. So he's going to produce 6 videos, taking people through Abel and how to use it, much in the same way as this, but that would be something that you would be able to watch over and over again to be able to help you get yourself set up. I actually had a conference call with him yesterday, along with somebody else. We were talking about it, and he was getting feedback from us from the sort of things that should be in it, and whereabouts in the sessions that he should be putting things like the virtual ringers. So you can have virtual ringers on your screen to aid rope sight, but actually that's a bit more advanced, and I think that we mustn't overlook the fact that we want to be improving listening. So that's perhaps using the virtual ringers is something for when we are back ringing and you want to improve your rope sight skills. Okay, anybody got any further comments before we end?
Do you want me to stay online afterwards to discuss how to upgrade my Mabel, or do you want to do that later?
You can stay online now, just for 5 minutes, so we'll work out a plan. Just got one more little screen share, which you might want to take a photograph of, perhaps.
Okay, I'll go get it.
Which is the links to things that we've talked about. So we have. So if you haven't already downloaded Abel, the link. So take a photograph of the screen or do a screen share. If you haven't already downloaded it, that's the address for Abel. Abel and Mabel come from there. The Tower Talk magazine, if you're registered with Learning the Ropes, you may have already been sent an email just to talk about to download the magazine. It's a magazine for learners, by learners for learners. And then the Fun with Bells podcast that I mentioned earlier, about striking, that can be found at that link there. And also, once you get onto that podcast itself, you can access all the other podcasts, of which there are many now, on all different subjects.
I think I heard about Fun with Bells before.
Yes, I think, yes, it has been around for a year or so now. And I think Charlie Linford did one of the podcasts earlier on.
I think, is it the BBC News Band one?
She did it shortly after that, I think.
yeah, so let's have a little. Okay, just okay. So I think we're going to end the session now. So if people want to leave, and I just want to have a quick word with Jane. Has anybody else here got Mac? Are there anybody else here Mac users and so have downloaded Mabel? No. Okay. So if you've got Abel, you should be okay. Just a quick. I'm just going to have a quick word with Jane because she has Mabel.
Thank you, Claire.
Okay,
All right.
cheerio, folks. Smashing.
Cheerio.
Well done,
See you
Claire.
next week.
Super presentation.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Hmm.
Oh my God.
Thanks, Claire. Okay. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye. See you
Bye.
next time.
Yes, we'll do.
Me. Bye.
Bye. Right. Okay, Jane.
Okay.
Right. So yesterday I had this conversation with Roger Booth. As I said, he's the one who's doing the videos, and he's a sort of quite an expert on that. So on Mabel, I mean I had no choice but to download that. If you only have Mac, then that's
Yeah.
do you have a facility to use anything other than Mac? Doesn't matter.
Only my work computer, but it doesn't allow you to download any programs
No,
on it.
that's okay. That's fine, because that would have been an option. And the other thing was, by the way, did you want any? Do you want the school? Would you like the school to pay for your copy? Because if you can supply me with bank details and the receipt number that you had from Abel Sim, then we can transfer the money across. I mean, I realise.
I'm okay at the moment.
Okay, well, you know, that's. I realise I suggested it was a good idea for people.
Yeah,
to
I have been furloughed, but I'm only on my second week, so I don't even know what I'm going to receive at the end of the month anyway.
Okay. Well, if it's a problem, you can always ask.
Yeah.
So,
No problem.
and I think that's obviously the reason why Mabel is cheaper than. It's £5 cheaper than Abel. And I thought that, I mean, it says it's sort of like a cut down version. And I thought the difference was that it didn't have the facility to become a tower simulator. And I thought that was the only difference. But there are quite you haven't got that review striking part of it. So the only way you can review striking really is using those little numbers at the bottom of the screen. That tell you, but in a way you should, once you're happy you can hear your bell, then you'll be happy. You might not get aggregate scores and things like that. That might not interest you, but being able to hear that the sound is sounding right is the important thing really. But as far as, it doesn't have the folder with the V2 learning exercises in, but I have because I have both folders. I've got Abel on Tracy's laptop and Mabel on mine, and I was talking to Roger about that, and he said you can add methods. So in that edit, add methods, and what I've done is I have at the moment screen copied all of the what they call place notations to be able to add it in. So once I've done that successfully with Mabel on my computer, I will share that file with you, and it'll be self-explanatory how to do it. So what you do is you click on add method, and a little screen comes up, and you have boxes to fill in, but I will have all the boxes. I'll screenshot it as I do it so that you can do that. So that will take me a little bit of time. But in the meantime, you've got plenty to be going on with practicing hearing your bell, ringing on 3, 4, 5, 6, and ringing different bells in the circle and things like that. So I don't feel that that you know, at this stage that that you've got anything to worry about that's not there.
Okay.
But any modifications that I can make to mine, then I'll send you that and how you do it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. All right then.
Yeah.
Hope you found today useful.
Yeah, very.
Good. All right. Have you had a play with it yet?
A little bit, but not much, because I was getting a bit frustrated with my computer at the time.
Oh, right.
Other
Okay.
things.
Well, yeah, I get for it. I hate using a laptop because, well, a normal laptop, because I'm a Mac user, so I can use a Mac laptop, but the normal laptop is a bit scary for me. Anyway.
Or when you use a normal laptop at work all the time, and then you go back to your Mac.
Exactly. You've got the reverse. You've got the reverse problem that I have. So. So not to worry. Anyway, so we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
So happy playing with Abel.
Yeah, okay. And happy Easter.
Yeah, and you. Thank you.
Enjoy all your chocolate.
Oh yes, thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.